My name is Clara Jensen, and I am 19 years old. I attend Maplewood University in Springfield, where I am navigating my first year of college. It is a time that is supposed to be filled with freedom and self-discovery. I was excited to meet new people, explore new things, and learn about myself in the process. But what I did not expect was to be living with an arrogant jerk named Byron, who quickly turned my unique experience into a nightmare. Byron fancied himself the king of the campus, bragging endlessly about his popularity, his past high school parties, and of course, his endless conquests. He strutted around like he owned the place, and it made my blood boil. It was a small dorm room, with two bunks crammed together, littler more than a shoebox. I was on the bottom bunk, which was supposed to be my safe space. However, Byron seemed to think that he could use the unfortunate proximity between our beds to his advantage. More times than I care to count, he would bring girls back to our room, thinking it was perfectly acceptable to go at it right above me while I lay there, wrestling with my own intrusive thoughts and discomfort. I had no choice but to retreat every single time, leaving the room feeling more like an unwanted guest in my own home than a respected roommate. It was incredibly frustrating. College was supposed to be a fresh start, a place where I could define who I was and find my voice amidst the chaos. But Byron was not merely disruptive, he was inconsiderate to the point where it felt personal. There was a distinct lack of respect in how he treated both me and those he brought in. They would often leave in the early hours of the morning, oblivious to the fact that I was there, live, in the same room, engaged in a power struggle between privacy and discomfort. I felt powerless. I spent hours huddled in the common room studying or watching television alone, pretending that I was busy when, in truth, all I wanted was peace in my own space. My annoyance grew into a furious fixation on how to regain control of my life, to find a way to make him aware of how obnoxious he was without losing my own integrity. I had to do something. I was done being the invisible doormat in our tiny, shared world. After weeks of enduring Byron's constant interruptions, I started plotting my revenge. It was not just about retaliation, it would also involve teaching him a lesson he desperately needed to learn. I figured out that he was planning an exciting evening with a girl from our floor. Apparently, this was going to be one of those big dates where he actually committed to taking her out instead of back to his own cramped home base. My mind raced with possibilities. How could I ruin this night for him? As the day of the date approached, I set my scheme into motion. While shopping for snacks, I came across a box of Oreos. I remembered how much Byron loved them, so I bought a box for myself. But I had another idea in mind. I secretly purchased X-Lax, a strong laxative that would turn his big night upside down. I was going to be crafty and create a clever trap. I painstakingly placed the regular Oreos on top of the stack, saving the X-Lax ones for the bottom where he would inevitably reach first. On that fateful day, I took the box of Oreos to the common room and waited, keeping a casual eye on Byron. When he ambled and looking impossibly confident, I grinned and offered him some Oreos. "Hey, Byron," I said nonchalantly. "Do you want these Oreos? I am feeling kind of full." His eyes lit up with delight as if I had just offered him a treasure. He excitedly agreed, saying, "I am kind of starving, and I am not going to have dinner until later, so this will hold me over." Inside, I was dying of laughter, desperately holding it together while he enjoyed my little gift. I could hardly believe how perfectly the plan was unfolding. He devoured the Oreos one by one, completely unaware of the chaos brewing within the harmless-looking sweet treats. Once he finished the last cookie, I casually made my way out of the common room, leaving him alone and blissfully ignorant of the fate he had just sealed. A few hours later, I was with my friends. We laughed and celebrated my master plan, feeling the thrill of victory with each silly joke we shared. I pretended to be engaged in our conversation, yet part of me was anxiously anticipating the chaos that was about to ensue. I could only imagine how Byron's night with his date was going. When I finally heard the door creak open, I could barely contain my excitement. Byron staggered into the room, a look of disbelief plastered across his face. "This was the most embarrassing night of my life," he exclaimed, glaring at me with accusation. I feigned innocence. "What happened? Did she not like you as much as you thought?" Byron shook his head, spilling out a wild account of how he had to leave the table repeatedly to use the restroom, each time he returned more flushed and ashamed. I almost burst into laughter right there. It was pure poetic justice. "I swear," he grumbled, "I've never been happier to be back in this dorm. I could not make it through a single moment without rushing back to the toilet." His misery was music to my ears. If only he could see the connection, but alas, it was far better this way. Only my close friend Jamie knew the truth. We shared a knowing glance, and we both wanted to crack up at Byron's expense. As the days went on after that embarrassing encounter, Byron's confidence deflated like a punctured balloon. His reputation as the ultimate party animal took a significant blow, and he started spending more time moping around the dorm rather than boasting about his prowess. The few friends he had constantly ribbed him about the disastrous date. I could almost hear the whispers of "watch out for Byron" echoing through the hallways, and I could not help but revel in the satisfaction. What had started as a quest for personal integrity transformed into a journey of self-discovery, and I learned more about myself than I anticipated. I took pride in my cleverness, in my ability to strategize and execute plans. I found strength I did not know I had, and realized that I could stand up for myself even in the smallest ways. Byron's arrogance became his downfall, and rather than feeling remorse about what happened, I felt a sense of liberation. In the end, I transformed my college experience into something that was truly my own. I took control of my life without losing sight of my values, turning anger into creativity, and coming out better for it. Byron's antics faded into the background, and I emerged with newer friends who reciprocated my respect. My time at Maplewood University became a haven for growth and exploration, filled with laughter, study sessions, and shared pizza instead of awkward encounters marked by disregard. In a twist of fate, I overheard Byron's roommate from the next room mention the word karma. My heart raced as I pondered if the universe was, in fact, paying attention. It was a satisfying end to my revenge saga, and while I was sure I could think of other ways to take him down, I was going to prioritize my new freedom. I left the past behind, and as I shared a laugh with my friends in the dorm, I felt the thrill of knowing that I had risen above, leaving Byron in the dust. The universe had its way of working things out, and for me, there was nothing sweeter than the taste of victory.